We only had 600 AR beans on each corner,
Only.
and they got in their bus.
Well, I hate taking any vacation time.
Well, yeah, but I've got 2 apartments.
Get going. All right. I now call the August 4th, 2020 Finance meeting to order at 6:45 PM. Consideration of claims. Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the claims.
Your Honor, I would make a motion for the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $513,316.74, payroll and liabilities in the amount of $347,236.62, for a total of $860,553.36.
Second?
Thank you. Councilmember Rhoda made a motion, seconded by Councilmember Larson. Are there any amendments or discussion of the claims?
One question I want to ask Kyle Butterfield about this $403,991.53, if he would explain what that PZ transmission line is and how important it is.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Your Honor, Councilman. That's part of our Riverton water supply project. That's critical to improving the pressure zones in the city of Riverton, and then also to loop our water delivery on the southwest area of town.
What do you mean by loop, if you don't mind expanding on that?
Absolutely. Your Honor, Councilman, that allows us to have a redundant source of water, so if we have an outage in that area, we can supply water to that region from an alternative source instead of just one source.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Anything else? Okay, considering that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review or discuss?
We have nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. guess considering no more business, the meeting is adjourned at 6:47.
I now call the August 4th, 2020 regular council meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilwoman Borders will give us the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilman Hancock will give us the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet together and to serve the citizens of Riverton. We ask that it please help us as we do so. We can be guided. We can know what ways we can best fulfill our roles as public servants. We are grateful for the opportunity. We are grateful for the people that are here that are interested in the business of the city. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Rebecca Schatza.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Corey Rhoda.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. I declare a quorum is present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of agenda item 16, consideration of Fremont County School District 25 grant application.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilwoman Schatza has a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding any item that is scheduled for public hearing will now be given the opportunity to speak during this public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on other issues may speak now. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, July 21st, 2020, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, August 4th, 2020, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for August 4th, 2020. And a plat for the Stratton subdivision, portion of Lot 19, re-subdivision, petitioner Buggy Bath LLC. And 2 open container permit applications, the first from Tracy Shells for memorial at Sunset Park on August 8th, 2020 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the second is from Ruby Calvert for a birthday celebration at Sunset Park on August 15th, 2020 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor,
Thank you.
the Finance Committee met earlier this evening. In consideration of claims, we agreed to pay $513,316.74. Payroll and liabilities in the amount of $347,236.62 for a total of $860,553.36.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Rhoda has the motion. Councilwoman Schatza has a second. Council discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Appreciation of Public Works collection and distribution employees. Occasionally, we get an opportunity to see how our city employees do their work. And we have a division in our city called the collections and distribution employees, and there's 7 of them that I would like to recognize tonight. Dennis Lawrence, Skylar Rambo, Jesse Phillips, Doug Hobby, Andrew Logan, Bobby Avery, and Leighton Little. These guys, let me tell you a little bit of why we're doing that. I would try to get Kyle to do this because I thought he was a little bit brighter than me. But we have had, on Main Street, in the last 10 years, we've had 6 breaks in the exact same spot. So it's almost like there's wing nuts on that work down there, right? And these guys have coordinated those outages. And when you're involved in an outage, it's amazing how many things it touches, how many businesses, how much road control that you have to have. And this last time, it kind of pleased me when I was talking with Kyle that you guys noticed the water breakup on Main, and instead of just shutting everybody down, you worked with the businesses and the restaurants in the area and made sure that they had time to do their work that evening and notified them that you'd have to do your work the next day and to prepare for that. And I think that's really what we're hoping for, and we want to recognize that spirit that you guys have to make Riverton a better place to live. And I think it really is something to be noted for, and we appreciate it for. It goes on to mention a few other things. There's outages. We've had 2 outages down on Maple that required 5 bands, and what that means is those are stainless steel bands that are placed on the pipe on the outside to try to control a break. And I've had enough opportunities to put in water lines myself. I know what hard work that is, and it isn't safe work, and it isn't work that you can take your time on to accomplish. We've had breaks on Aspen, which I really appreciated you taking care of when we were down there talking with the people on Aspen about the police activity we had down there. They were very complimentary about your work and what you did for them. We've had 2 on Davis Lane, the Y Dot Yard, Gannett. Now Gannett's another one of those that must have wing nuts on it, right? And so the residents up there are starting to get to know you guys by your first names. That is good. And then again on South 9th Street. You guys also help us with our irrigation problems, which happen just when everybody's mad and wanting water. Nothing happens when everybody's happy, does it? And so I appreciate the work you do there. We have some failing structure, and it's not easy to keep that in service. You help clean sewer plugs. You helped me take care of one on Northview just recently. That I appreciated you doing that one. You help replace the curb stops and meters when they stop working. You assist in construction projects on Sunset, Gannett, Hill Street, and the Riverton Water Supply Project. I just think there's a lot of stuff you guys do, and we're glad to have you in our employ. So I'll bring these down, and hopefully we can get them to the right people, okay? We need a picture.
You guys might have to scoot a little closer.
Thank you.
If you have anything you need to say, the mic's right there. We won't ask twice. Thanks, guys. Your outages never happen at a good moment, so we do appreciate the timely manner that you work for us.
And it's a thankless job.
It is a thankless job.
It's cold and it's never as nice and sunny and
That is-
tools available and,
That is all true.
God.
Another opportunity that I get to do is try to find members for the tree board. And Val Green has been a bright spot for years in my life. He works out at the concrete plant, Riverton Concrete. And if he delivers your concrete, you got a helper when he shows up. And so it's awfully nice to get him to help us on the tree board. I didn't know he had a green thumb. Lots of times I get the credit for things that I didn't do. Jim Brodel is the one that asked me to call Val and see if he had time and was willing to do it, and he was kind enough to agree to that, and we look forward to his help and assistance on that. So, Val, thanks for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. The chair would entertain a motion to appoint Val Green to the Riverton City Tree Board.
So moved.
Second?
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion, and Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Thanks, Val. Appreciate it. We'll get you the information that you need and look forward to your help. Thank you. Item number 10, consideration of ordinance number 20-004, second reading, Riverton Municipal Code 5.04.070 and 5.04.100, open container and malt beverage permit addendum. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance number 20-004 by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 20-004 on second reading. An ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.04 Alcoholic Beverages, to revise Section 5.04.070 Open Containers of Alcohol Beverages on City Property by Permit Only, and Section 5.04.100 Permit for Retail Sales at Picnics, Bazaars, Fairs, etc. of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-004 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion. Councilman Hancock has the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 20-005, first reading of the Riverton Municipal Code, Chapter 17, Commercial Highways, CH zoning. Community Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance 20-005 is before you this evening for your consideration in response to a variance which was requested and granted to Buggy Bath LLC at the July 9th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. Currently, Section 17.64.030 of the Riverton Municipal Code requires commercial highway CH lots to have a minimum area of 42,000 square feet. That's almost an entire acre. After examination of most of the lots currently zoned CH, which is our north and south federal corridor, 71% of those are smaller than the presently required minimum. So it didn't make much sense to me if most, 2/3 of our lots are smaller. This should probably be looked at. This requirement also would not allow for pad development in front of larger lots. Say, for instance, if Sutherland's wanted to subdivide and put 2 or 3 pads out in front of their establishment, this would prohibit that, which was in direct conflict with the parking regulations that we passed a couple of years ago to encourage that sort of behavior. So the proposed lot size minimum of 10,890 square feet, which is 1/4 of an acre, was derived based on an examination of the smaller lots that currently exist within the CH zoning now. Ordinance 20-005 was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their July 30th regular meeting and was recommended for approval unanimously. With that, I'd stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Schatze and second by Councilwoman Borders. Discussion?
Mayor, I have just one question, if I may. Eric, if we go down to that 10,890, how many of those lots would be usable as opposed to the 29% we have now? Do you know off top?
Restate the question for
So if most of our lots don't even meet the 42,000, how many will meet that at the 10,800?
virtually 100%.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
You know, this is probably a place to point this out. I was in a planning opportunity today at the county that we used no common sense. And it's nice to have Eric and his staff find something like this, and instead of just leaving it hanging there as an obstruction, to go forward and try to make it so it works. I really do appreciate that. And that's really what we're looking to do, is make it friendly for businesses, friendly for the opportunity to invite people to come. I think, Eric, wasn't the thought was if my building burned down and I only had 10,000 square feet, how would I get the additional square feet to rebuild, or could I rebuild? Is that how that started?
Yes, Your Honor. Oddly enough, the week after we reviewed this at Planning Commission, we got 2 phone calls from lenders in Riverton asking that very question. If we loan on this property, would it be allowed to be rebuilt because it does not meet the minimum square footage for the lot? It was sheer happenstance, but it does come up, and they do ask the question.
Sure. Kyle?
Is that like we talked about Sutherland's hypothetically, putting in a Wendy's in front, or a provision so they could have a small unit other than themselves operating in front, or a drive-up, or a Hires Root Beer, or something like that? I know that's a bad example. I'm just trying to visualize it in my feeble head.
Your Honor, that's exactly correct. Moving towards densification of revenue-generating business rather than open space and parking lots, and creating more walkable, comfortable shopping centers.
Okay?
Yeah, in theory, a large company could actually pressure owners to sell because they didn't have the square footage required to rebuild what they wanted to. So it's a good thing to do this, and I appreciate you looking for those and making that work. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare a public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Schatze and a second by Councilman Bailey. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-005 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Whichever.
Councilman Rhoda has the motion, and Councilman Hancock, did you get the second?
I think so. I could give it to Councilwoman Schatz if she really wants it.
That's all right. I'll pass on this one.
Any further discussion,
Your Honor,
please?
before you call the vote, can I read it by title only?
Oh, I will let you do
Thank
that.
you.
Did I jump you?
Yeah.
Please do.
Thank you. Proposed ordinance number 20-005 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise Chapter 17.64 Commercial Districts CH, Section 17.64.030, General Requirements of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
You were patient. That was almost a full page back. Right. Thank you for helping me out there. Any other discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I would just note that we've had a lot of changes that I think are ordinance changes that have definitely served to encourage businesses to come here, including Sutherland's. I think Mr. Carr had conversations with them when they were just entertaining the idea, and then that's when we made the change that actually I think encouraged them to come and made them make the decision to come, which was the change in the parking. And this, I think, is just making it even better. I agree completely. There's no reason to have huge lots when, in reality, the way that the economy is going and had been going even before the coronavirus pandemic was away from large retail stores and towards people doing more work on ordering online, that kind of thing. So I think this can definitely encourage some different ways that we can be using our CH areas. So I just would like to note Mr. Carr is, I think, spot on, and he's had some really good changes that we can actually see the results of, with Sutherland's being here, Murdoch's, I think, being willing to move to Safeway because they were able to use part of that parking lot as a display area. So I just would like to thank you, Mr. Carr. You've done an excellent job for the city.
Thank you.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing consideration of ordinance number 20-006, the first reading of the Riverton Municipal Code, Chapter 16 subdivision. The Community Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance 20-006 is before you this evening for your consideration after the department looked into the possibility of creating an equitable path for real estate developers to have an option to create developments with less costly street cross-sections, i.e. paved or gravel sections with no sidewalks, etc. These types of developments can be advantageous to both residents and developers for a variety of reasons. Cost savings can be passed along to the eventual property owners. Utilizing less robust cross-sections tends to slow traffic and create a more community feel. And their appearance can also provide for an aesthetically pleasing country charm feel. For specific types of neighborhoods, especially those zoned residential agriculture or R2A. Ordinance 20-006 was developed with input from the Planning Commission over the course of 2 separate meetings. The Planning Commission also reviewed Ordinance 20-006 as presented at their July 30th regular meeting, where it was recommended for approval unanimously. And with that, I'd stand for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 20-006 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 20-006 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title 16 subdivisions, Chapter 16.20 improvements, Section 16.20.030 required prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy subsection C of the Riverton Municipal Code and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes. I now declare a public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with the state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has a motion and Councilwoman Schatz has a second. Discussion,
Your Honor.
please.
Mr. Carr, could you explain where this type of development would be beneficial to the city of Riverton?
Kyle, would we be better to do that
I
when
would love to do it anytime.
and I think maybe you're right. I thought we closed public hearing. We're right, you're right. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
I thought the motion was to close the public hearing
Motion is
currently.
to close the public
Yeah.
hearing, so we need to vote on that first.
Yeah, let's close and then go.
I thought we voted on
We didn't get a vote yet,
it. Oh, okay.
but we will momentarily. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-006 on first reading.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilman Bailey and a second by Councilman Larson. Any discussion? Now, Kyle, thank you.
Mr. Carr?
So this would be intended for rural-type areas, especially the R2A areas, where we have larger lot sizes. It's on the outskirt of town, and it has, again, that aesthetic appearance of, say, a country lane. That would be the primary focus of where these subdivisions would be beneficial. As far as in the middle of town, probably not. That's a difficult sell, especially with densification and turning pervious surfaces into impervious surfaces. So you've got rooftops and streets and sidewalks all collecting water with quarter-acre lots. If you've got, say, a 0.8-acre lot and lots of grass, you're not going to shed as much water, so.
So are you implying that this is solely for water conservative or to control water? Or is this a mechanism which allows a developer to shed the expense of curb, gutter, and streets and water lines and sewer so that he can just sell pure land?
Your Honor,
Yes.
basically that's correct, yes. We're creating an avenue that is definitely more cost-effective for the developer, and hopefully that cost-effectiveness gets passed on to the eventual landowner.
Councilman Bailey?
So, Kyle, a little bit of a correction there. I don't think we're talking about not providing water and sewer, are we?
Your Honor, that's correct, yes. You would still be required to provide utility services to each lot that is subdivided in the subdevelopment.
Right, so really the main difference is just curb, gutter, sidewalk.
Curb, gutter, sidewalk is about 55 a square.
No, I know it's expensive, but I'm saying that's what we're talking about, not
Okay,
making
right,
them.
that's what I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure of.
And again, I think Mr. Carr's comments of the reason we put curb and gutter is to manage water flow, which in a bigger lot that has room for absorption, if that's the right word, there's plenty of room for the water to be just absorbed into the soil as opposed to having to be dealt with in a storm drain or whatever. And I guess to me, I'm just wondering where we came up with
the 0.8 acres, I mean, I don't know if that is a normal size rural lot or not. Is it, Eric?
Your Honor, so the numbers definitely had some thought put into them. And a lot of the example was, say, Riverside Drive, which is down just south of the golf course. Those lots are generally 0.75 to 0.9 acres. So I thought, well, 0.8 is a pretty good average of those lots. They all have at least a couple hundred feet of frontage. So, or I should say at least 125 feet, so we just increased that to 150 to say, yes, that's great. And then again, we're attempting to, I mean, these developments generally belong on the outskirts of town, which is where the requirement to be contiguous to at least 30% of the city limit came from.
Mike?
I guess, so from what you're saying, the Riverside lots would not qualify here if they're below 0.8. So I guess to me, maybe we should lower that down a little bit to maybe like half an acre. If you're saying those lots run 0.75, then they wouldn't qualify for this if we were building them right now. Do we need to maybe lower that down a smidge so that we know that, I mean, because those are pretty good sized lots out there.
I'll check right now. I don't have that off the top of my
You
head.
know, I guess we don't want to set the specification to where we're making areas of town that already are built in that form to not qualify under the regulation that we're getting ready to change.
Which ones are we talking about? The Mountain View
River
Drive, River?
Side, which is down golf course that runs along the river.
So all of those lots are over 0.9 acres. I was mistaken when I said
Okay.
0.75. I intentionally lowered it below so that something like Riverside would be 100% compliant.
Okay.
And so, to take the pressure off of Eric, this is something that I asked for him to take a look at, and I brought him pictures from all over the United States, from Houston, and we've been wrestling for a while. And what I see is that as Riverton develops and gets larger, and to be real frank, I've been here for a long time, and Riverton's just been about the same size as it always has, right? But what I would hope is as we annex out and move out into the spaces around us, they're all built on this same preface of a little bit bigger lots. The real thing that I think is important to understand about this, once we start collecting water in a storm sewer, we have to do something with it by requirement. We have to put it to a retainage pond. We can't just dump them in the river like we used to. And so,
Your Honor, that's not actually correct yet. We have to be to a population of 20,000 to be mandated to regulate our stormwater. And right now, we're not there yet, but we will be.
well, but we just spent $2 million putting in a retainage pond behind Walmart because we had to, not because we chose to. And so I think what we're trying to point out here is this is a positive move forward to allow those existing streets that are already in gravel to look at the opportunity to, they'll have to make a district, they'll have to do just like River Lane did, create a district within themselves. And when 51% of that district chooses to pave their street, they'll have the ability to pave their street. And we won't have curbs and gutters and sidewalks, but it's an improvement in my eyes. Now, we did this, the same thing we did on Majors down to the new school on Monroe. And we did that more for economic reasons. We didn't put a storm sewer in, and we didn't put any sidewalks in. And we pushed the state to the very limits of what they could afford to do. And I'm terribly glad to have the road. That's where I come from. And so I don't think in the best of things, sidewalks everywhere would be great. It just makes it extremely difficult on the developer, especially when you have bigger lots and bigger frontage to afford all that. So that's why this is before you today.
Your Honor.
Yes.
And I actually disagree a little bit with Major. I know a lot of kids, for example, that walk down there. That's a very, if you're walking to Willow Creek, that's a very narrow road. And it also doesn't have sidewalk. I mean, of all the places to suggest that this is a winning idea, I don't think that's the one. And I think there's still children out there and parents out there that want to be able to have their kids walk to school. I mean, that's your right as a parent to be able to have your kids do that. So having a place they can do that is important. And I'll tell you, I don't really feel comfortable walking on Major there. I understand the idea behind this with something like Riverside or Raintree, and I think it could make sense out there. But when you've got a main thoroughfare there like Riverview or Major that are both running there that have a lot of traffic, I just don't think that's the place for this. I was just actually looking around just to see places that would be eligible for this, and the way it stands right now, and I think a lot of places on Raintree would be, if that's something that we wanted to get that annexed, some of those locations, but with how Major is there, it's surrounded by city. It's just kind of a spot there. Having that be something that would be a rural development, I think, is not a good idea. So that's my concern with this ordinance. I don't think that something like that should be eligible for it. And other places where, you know, everywhere else around there has had to do sidewalks, curb, and gutter. I was even, for example, looking on up north of Major. You've got Flag there, and you've got Washington and Maple. Now, that's a little bit different. Those are dirt roads. So you've got one side which does have roads, and then you have one side that doesn't. I'd say for something like on the other side of Major there, along Gasser, this might be a good option there. But yeah, of all the places, I think that is not the place where we would want to do that. And I think that's just my concern. This is a little bit too broad without taking into account things like the traffic there, including foot traffic. So that's my concern with this ordinance, how it is right now. I think we have some places that would be eligible that I just don't think would be the best options.
Councilman Hancock, where was your objection when they put Majors in? Why is it in there without a sidewalk? You accepted it.
Right? I don't know what to tell you about that, Mayor.
Why did it get in that way?
Well, let's see. What year was that passed?
You were on the council.
Right. 2017? I've been on the council for about 4 or 5 months. I guess that's the best I could tell you. I know a lot more now than I did know then.
Okay.
And I also didn't know that we'd be ending up with that much traffic going down there. You know, it's kind of hard to decide with a school.
Councilman Bailey.
So, to me, the trick becomes, of course, looking into the future, which we have no idea what's going to happen, and giving Eric and his staff the ability to go, yes, this would work, but no, this wouldn't. And so, you know, as somebody who would develop a lot or a group of lots, we need to be able to know what the rule is going to make us do or not do. And so that's where it gets, so to me, and again, I don't remember the terminology exactly, but if you related something to the quantity of traffic on a street, which I know we have, you know, main thoroughfares, collectors, I don't know what the hierarchy of street volume makes it fit, but to me, we maybe need to figure out a way to put something in here that it would be on a road that did not have X amount of traffic or, you know, something, because I think the intent is to make it, again, these little rural type subdivisions that have bigger lots and everybody has their horse and chickens in their backyard and
Your Honor,
stuff, so.
Yes.
that would also be addressed in the Chapter 16, the section with the rural cross-sections. Directly above those cross-sections are the designations for the residential street, residential rural street, residential collector street, major arterial, et cetera, et cetera. So that traffic loading is then assigned to the cross-sections below. As the ordinance is currently written, there's one cross-section for a residential street. This would obviously open that up to additional options under the correct circumstances.
Well, and we don't have to go very far either. All we have to do is go up Majors till we hit the library. And there's no sidewalk on the east side of Majors, clear to the schools. And there's a wider sidewalk on the west side of Majors to the school. And so, and I think this is where it's really important that the city council understands and does these things, because personally, I am thrilled with what we got. The road is wonderful. Would I like a sidewalk against it? Yes, I would. I would like a storm sewer there also. Stormwater drainage. I would like all of those things. Did we get them? No, we did not. As things develop, same thing with the discussion we had on North 8th Street. When the school moved clear out of town, when we put the Career Center in, I was the first occupying class that moved into the Career Center. And there is no sidewalks around that unit to this day. Eventually there will be, as we remodel those and come up with those public funds to make those things work. But to insist that we get everything we want as we develop has the ability to stymie growth. And yet a road without sidewalks is better than no road at all. And so I think Eric has put some real protections in this. He's got a large lot requirement on it. He's got frontage on it. We've had this debate on a number of levels. I can show you this in Houston, Texas, where the houses in the subdivision are over $1 million each, and there is no sidewalk. I can show you this in Idaho Falls. I can show this all over the United States. And so I think what it is it's an opportunity, once again, just like we did earlier in the meeting, to promote business to come to town without an burdensome effort. Now, to answer the access to the school, there is a law that says that you have to have access for children to get to a school. The school reapproached me because I was the landowner there, and we donated additional land off the right-of-way to the back of the school. So they do have right-of-way for children to walk across without being on the road. And they have intention to do that someday, but once again, they run out of money. And so I think there's a lot of good intentions, and if we don't pay attention, and I think the code book takes us down this. This is where Eric and I sometimes differ. I don't see it as the Bible. I see it as a really good idea for Denver, Colorado. And in Riverton, Wyoming, we've got to amend it to fit and to make it work, because we're not that big. I just think that that's what we've got to do. And we've got to use some common sense and think about what we're doing, and do we want a road or don't we want a road? The other avenue that the school was proposing was just a big cul-de-sac turnaround down there. And so it would have been a dead-end street with a gravel turnaround.
Monroe be in at the end.
And we just would have made a big turnaround and gone back out Monroe. And so we really did get some infrastructure that is fabulous, in my opinion. Is it everything that we could have wanted? No. And so I think that's where the flexibility has to come. And fortunately, we have a group that does that. It's us. Kyle.
in response, subdivisions normally are built on the outside of town. That's because the inside obviously is full. And so you're always moving outward. The idea of larger lots, that's one thing that Wyoming has. We have lots of land, and 2 people per square mile is about the average. So come to Riverton. We want you to move in. The thing that has been pointed out is we don't know the future. And we, because of Aspen, told the school district, you're not going to do that to us again. So you were the beneficial person of that because they screwed us over on Aspen thoroughly and regularly. And I told that superintendent just how angry the citizens in my area were at what he had done. And he was startled. But the fact of the matter is, you build schools where they're needed, and that's why we have schools in different locations. We just can't build schools where we think they should be. So here we are, we're arguing, we're discussing, and we have a major project going on, Sunset, that is the primary results of Aspen School. Now, Aspen School, the Sunset Road was put in and was beautiful for local traffic. But then you start driving trucks, which you didn't see, and all kinds of heavy equipment. And who is paying for that right now? I don't see School District 25 jumping up and saying, here, Rich, have some money. So, you know, I realize we want to do with business, but we have to have more than that. We have to have cooperation with the other members of the community. And fortunately, we got it with your school district, your building down there, because they put a road through that. And being a neighbor like you were, and let me tell you, Aspen is not as nice as what you've got, because they just shoved it where they wanted to. So I'm a little cautious on weakening up our position on what we require on a subdivision. I would love to say, well, that fits my place because I just was in the city limits and now it's moved past me. So I still am required to have hard roads, sidewalks, curb, and I would love to just say, well, we'll form a nice community and 51% will vote and they'll put it in. That's what I had back when I lived in Salt Lake City, and we did that. So I'm wondering if we are going to be too friendly to our builders, because I don't know of a builder that contributes back and says, here's some money to the city when they give us an inferior road or something like that. So I'm a little reluctant to weaken our hand on subdivisions. Thank you.
Tim?
Your Honor, I feel like the reason you've been pushing this is because you're the property owner there. And the one that you've been talking about here on Major, the one that's gotten you the most interested, that is owned by Guard Enterprises. I don't think that we should be doing this, frankly, for your benefit. I think that part of what you've been pushing for is so that you can divide that in a way that you will be saving money. And I know that's strong words to be using, but considering, I guess, your reaction to this and everything, I don't see this as something that's meant for places like Raintree. I see this as what you're wanting to do is benefit your development of the area near the school.
Interesting thought. Any other discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilman Bailey?
I guess overall, I see this as a good thing, as long as we have some specifics so that if we have higher traffic areas, that they don't have this applied to them. You know, we want to make sure that we are, you know, if the contractor, the developer, whoever's doing this, okay, does not have to spend as much money, that means they can sell the lots for less, which means the consumer that buys the lot will get it for a better price. That's how the free market works, okay? And so hopefully this would create an opportunity for us to maybe annex in areas that are hesitant if they are held to the standard that they have to have a 40-foot wide street with curb, gutter, sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be a good thing for the city of Riverton. That would increase our tax base, okay? It actually decreases our expense if we don't have as much infrastructure to maintain. Again, curb, gutter, storm sewer, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I think this is a good thing for those overall. We're not, you know, I think, again, when there's people that get together and say, hey, we want to put sidewalks in here, they can do that. They would have paid for them if they would have been put in right at the beginning of, you know, when they developed. The consumer that buys the lots, the one's going to pay for that curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Somewhere built into the price is where that cost is. So it's not like it's costing them in addition. Okay, it's just save the money in the beginning, and if they decide to put curb and gutter and sidewalk in later, they're going to pay for it then instead of paying for it in the beginning. So I don't think, you know, the consumer is hurt at all by this. I think the city is improved by being able to annex additional people in, saving costs. If we only have to maintain a 24-foot road that doesn't have curb, gutter, and sidewalk, that's going to be cheaper than maintaining a 40-foot road with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. And so I think it's a positive thing for everybody involved, okay? And that's my position.
Well, if everybody's done, I'll sum up my thoughts. My thought is simply that I would like to encourage business to come to Riverton. And Councilman Hancock tries to make this my issue. It is not my issue. All of the property that I own is too small to fit this qualification. I would have to be held accountable to the development of the city, continuous city lots. So that's a really backhanded insult. And I'm the one that donated a lot of money to get those roads put in. And so the other thing that needs to be pointed out is all of the land on majors is in the county. It isn't in the city. They are not city lots. They are county lots. And so with that said, this isn't a benefit to me. What I'm trying to do is look down the road far enough to see when we get the opportunity to annex in some adjoining properties that we don't put an undue burden on citizens that are already established where they live. And so I think this is a really good thing. I see it all over. I don't think this is a negative. As Councilman Bailey pointed out, it's an improvement. It certainly is better than a turnaround cul-de-sac. And so I think that with this approach, I think it's an improvement, and I would leave it at that. So if we're past discussion, I would now call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 4, Carla, are you in?
Yes, sir.
Opposed, say nay.
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 Motion passes. Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU for the half-cent tax for economic development. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have before you a proposed MOU developed for the purposes of clarification of expenditures of potential half-cent money should the ballot issue passed. The item has been prepared and reviewed prepared. Kevin Kershiznik, who's working on that project right now, has helped prepare this and heralded that through. Staff and legal staff have reviewed it for completeness. The item before you not only lays out the items that you already know, which is 20%, 10% to ground transportation, 20% to air service, and then the rest distributed based on population of the municipality or the county. But it also sets up at the latter end of the MOU an agreement that denotes that if for some reason after 2024 money is not allocated or either allocated, earmarked, or otherwise encumbered, that the other communities, other entities that are party to this would have the ability to come forward and request the use of that money. It is generally the understanding that they would work through FCAG as the first step. That would allow them to make an application and have that brought back to the different councils or governing bodies. The governing bodies would then provide for approval or denial. And we've seen this in other instances before where remaining funds have been allocated to other communities. Some of those were consensus funding, leftover consensus funding. I think that was in the last couple of years. So it's not a new process, but it does outline that for you. After review, and it is the recommendation of staff that council approve the MOU as presented, contingent upon approval by all other municipalities and the Fremont County Commissioners. With that, Your Honor, I have nothing else.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding as presented for the use of the expenditure of the half-cent economic development money.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilwoman Schatz has a second. Further discussion? Mike?
Your Honor, Tony, I noticed first paragraph after recitals says up to 1%. Is it supposed to be that way?
No, Your Honor, let me look. I apologize. After recitals. Could you please direct me to that again, Councilman?
Okay, so on the Fremont County Sales Tax for Economic Development Memorandum of Understanding, there's like the first paragraph that says, then it says recitals.
It's actually accurate. It's accurate. The statute allows up to 1%. We're just asking for 0.5%.
Okay,
So
well,
it's
that's,
just saying the
Sorry.
statute allows
I
that.
guess.
Yes, I'm sorry. I see where you're looking. That is correct. You can do up to 1% per law. You're asking for 0.5%. You can do those in quarter-cent increments.
Okay, as long as it's correct.
Anybody else? We do have some members of the committee with us. Kevin, do you have anything to add?
Honor, members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. I'd like to just give you a quick update on where we're at on the sales tax, the 0.5% for economic development. And you've probably seen these flyers, you've seen them around in the yards, et cetera. And like Tony had mentioned, the 30% for ground transportation is absolutely critical for our community, for air service, as you'll hear in a little bit, and also for the ground transportation, so commercial air and ground transportation. That 70% then can be used in Riverton to help fulfill our strategic plan for economic development, which is part of the city's master plan. So that's where the funds would be geared towards to help us to get a lot more things done on that path. The other point I'd like to make is that the investment is going to be less than $80 per year per Fremont County citizen. And by using the leverage of those funds as seed capital, matching funds, et cetera, we believe that we can get over $9 million per annum for Fremont County projects, which is a great multiplier. It's a great investment in our future. And at this point, the PAC, the Forward Fremont County Political Action Committee, has been doing a lot of great work since May, getting the word out. You've seen that on Facebook, et cetera. And today we're honored to have the chairman or chairwoman, we are honored. Julie Buller's here, and she'd like to just give you a quick update as well.
Thank you.
So the thing we just wanted to point out to everybody, I'm sure you guys are all
Julie,
aware that.
Could you say who you are for the record,
Oh,
please?
Julie Buller,
Thank you.
TRACT Chair.
Thank you.
What we would just like to point out to everybody is that we really need your support with this tax, because by this time next year, we probably won't have air service. That's how critical this tax is if we don't get it passed. And if you have any questions at all, you can go to Forward Fremont County. We're on Facebook and we have a website and Facebook, and we've been doing lots of PSAs and trying to get the word out everywhere and answer everybody's questions. So you can certainly reach out to Kevin or myself if you have any questions, but any support that you guys can give us. We also need support from, 4 out of the 5 municipalities voted for this to move forward with this tax. Du Bois, we need help up there. We're going to head up to Du Bois for the buffalo, some kind of buffalo feed this weekend to see if we can't try to encourage the the Du Bois folks to support this tax. And Lander, we're struggling with Lander. Although they support it, quite a few of them, they're not supporting it verbally. So if you guys got anybody over at Lander that you can get up to step up to the plate, we're looking for a few more people to do some more videos that we can put on our website and Facebook page. 20 seconds, somebody that makes a difference that can encourage people to vote for this tax. We also need somebody on the reservation. So if you guys have anybody from there that you can send our way, we would love to get in touch with them. We'll come do the video at their place so we can get that out there too. So Forward Fremont County, you can find us on Facebook and website, or you can contact Kevin or myself if you have any questions. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, appreciate it. Kevin, thank you. There's one other facet that you guys didn't touch on, and there's been some criticism. These funds, when they're raised, won't be able to get into the general fund of the city. And so they will be held separately, and we will handle those with a committee that is very much like the Force Committee that fixes our roads on our 1 cent roads committee. So we'll have to appoint a committee, and they'll do the groundwork and tell us what they want to do and how they want to spend those dollars, which is about $600,000 a year for the city of Riverton to spur economic growth, and it can be used for things as enhancing quality of life in Riverton, to offering the opportunity to bring more jobs to town. So this is a brainchild of Kevin was there at the very start with the Fremont County Association of Governments, the FTAG, and we did look at a 1/4 cent really hard. We looked at 1 cent really hard, and we looked at 1/2 cent. And we came back with the fact that this is the easiest thing to, the sales tax is the fairest tax that we can apply on the people. And so I would encourage you to take the opportunities to see the positive movement with this and to do what you can to support it. So, Kyle.
One last thing. The demonstrated fixing our roads, that money has been sequestered and watched over and guarded and protected. Whereas the money that goes into the general fund it's just, you can't find it. But when it's sequestered like that, those funds have been as rare coins, and Kyle and his crew, well, we just wouldn't have Sunset torn up and fixed in a proper manner. We wouldn't have the disability pans on the roads in a proper manner. To not fully support the 1/2 cent is just not seeing the clear view. This will help Riverton so much that it's just mind-boggling not to vote for it. It's one of those things where you say, well, I don't want to take that medicine. Well, you'll be better and you'll feel, and I don't want to take it. Well, this stuff, you've got to realize how important this is for our community. It's not going to matter one heck on your budget. You can shut off television for a week and make the difference. But I am so in favor of this, it just hurts.
Anyone else? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Memorandum of Understanding and MOU for Air Service Revenue Management Subcommittee. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. This agreement is one similar that has come before you for several years now. Basically, this allows us to enter into agreement with our funding partners for commercial air service. As you are aware, we are lucky to have commercial air service in our county and also to have the support of our state to pay for that air service. 60% comes from the state of Wyoming, 40% needs to come from the community. And this year, we're fortunate to have Lander as a partner to help with the funding of our community match of that 40%. This agreement set forth the terms by which they will give the funds to the city to put towards air service. The terms are very similar to what was listed in the last previous versions of this agreement. The changes include the removal of Fremont County as they are not funding for fiscal year 21. We also removed a clause about providing reporting at once a quarter, I believe. A lot of that was for the purpose of informing the county, and we removed it since our chairperson of FAST happens to be a council member of Lander, and she'll be able to keep that group informed, and we hope we can keep you informed as well throughout the year. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council approve this memorandum of understanding, but also allow for non-substantive changes to be made to this. The reason for that is Lander will be considering this agreement next week. And if they have minor items that they would like to change, we'd like to still move forward with executing it. For example, if they do want to put back in that quarterly reporting, something that would be non-substantive, we would ask that you allow for that and still approve its execution. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Riverton and the City of Lander, reestablishing a minimum revenue guarantee, the MRG subcommittee.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion?
No.
Mike?
I guess I'd like to just, and I know most of the people sitting in this room, but I think the public needs to know that I'm extremely disappointed in the county that they are not helping us out with this. Again, I think, Riverton bears most of the cost of the airport operating it. It serves the entire county. Lander's good enough to pitch in with us and help in this. But Fremont County has decided not to help us fund this. And, they get, the entire county gets good service from this air service that we receive. And it's really disappointing that they aren't helping us out financially in meeting this minimum revenue guarantee.
Kyle?
I think it's just short-sightedness. Without an airport, I know we've had previous councilmen that said drive to Casper. Never would I drive to Casper to fly if I could fly out of Riverton. The importance of having a local airport just makes Riverton a better place to live. And the short-sightedness of people on the county that don't see that is just beyond the pale. Thank you.
Councilman Hancock?
Tell you what this does make clear, though, is that I really appreciate the support of Lander with continuing.
I agree.
Yeah, Lander has been a good partner here. They have budget restraints just like the rest of us, and they have cut their donation in half, but the $100,000 is greatly appreciated. And they're struggling to get that paid. So it's just not easy, and so is the county. I mean, let's be fair. The county doesn't, if the county had it, they would be willing to participate. They are struggling also. So we are in a tough economic position, and that's why this half-cent tax is so important to us. If you don't fly the airplane, that doesn't make any difference at all. But if you get second-day air, first-day air, if you need your parts overnight, that airport does a lot of things that we don't give it credit for. And so all of us are touched by that. We have a college in town that is required to bring people in and out. The Knowles people in Lander are one of our biggest contributors to air service. They fly their people from all over the United States. And so we really do need to, if we don't maintain our airport, we are going to turn into a rural community like many of other communities throughout the basin. And so if we want to do that, let's go do it. I would prefer not to. I would prefer to have the economic growth and be the hub of Central Wyoming Central Wyoming. So I think it's a smart move, and we do appreciate all the help we get from everywhere we get it. We might point out we have some other contributors to that fund. Idea Inc. has supported that fund with a large sum of money. So has Wind River Development with a large sum of money. We are out scratching everywhere we can scratch. This is a good place. I was going to save that for my closing comments, but we put 466 people in the seats last month, which is phenomenal, and halfway to where we really need to be, but phenomenal. And with that said, we are going to now take over a direct flight to Denver, which cuts the airtime to 45 minutes, and there's no stop in Rock Springs. So we get there early enough to catch the East Coast movement, and our fares are extremely low. And so there's no reason to sacrifice what we've worked so hard to accomplish over the last 12, 15 years. And so I think that it is all positive, and that's what we're trying to do here. So we're trying to look forward and trying to be positive and trying to grow Riverton, Wyoming, and Fremont County. Anybody else want to add? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Memorandum of Understanding for the NEIBERGER First Edition, Track B, Pavement Overlay Cost Sharing. Community Development Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Helgeson LLC is planning to pave the area west of their building at 804 North Federal Boulevard, our next-door neighbors to the south. Their original plan was to pave only the portion of their parking lot to the west edge of City Hall, leaving the common access way, or the alley, unimproved. Staff roughly estimated the city's usage of the common area was approximately 50% of that of the tenants in Helgeson LLC's building. We approached them with a proposal for a cost share of 50% of the approximate 4,000 square feet of paving. A local paving contractor submitted a detailed cost proposal for the paving, which amounts to $9,200, making the city's share $4,600. This MOU has also been reviewed by legal counsel with no exceptions being taken. And this funding was obviously not provided for in the fiscal year 21 budget, and therefore will need to be deobligated from other line items within the budget and reallocated to this project if approved. A mid-year budget amendment would reflect the reallocation of the funding. With that, I'd stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the MOU of understanding with Hedges LLC for the payment overlay west of 804 North Federal Boulevard at a cost share not to exceed $4,600.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion, and the second is Councilwoman Border. Got to turn the page. Give me a second. Any discussion? I once again here need to point out that this is a great arrangement. We have put the Veterans Park behind City Hall, and our police cars use that alley as a thoroughfare. And we have put up with a really bad alley that really is at a detriment to what we need. And thank goodness for Murdoch's. They came in and repaired their section at all of their expense. And they could have said, no, we're not going to fix that. It's good enough, but they fixed it. And so we have just a short section to improve, and $4,600 is a grand negotiation. Eric, you did a good job with that. So if we can get that done and get that fixed, we'll have a clear path, and we ought to rename that alley from an alley to Veterans Avenue or something to allow people to see that that's a way to get to what is one of the prettiest parks in our possession. And so having a nice road there without any potholes in it has been a lot of hard work. And we've written a bunch of letters, we've had to communicate. This is exactly how we got rid of the potholes up at Smith's. And instead of using vinegar, we used honey, and we were able to get roads fixed that didn't have to be, and people weren't obligated to fix. And so by doing so, we are the benefactors of that, and I appreciate your efforts. Thank you, Rick.
Your Honor,
Kyle.
this is a steal. We would be less than honorable people to not jump at the 4,600 to get this blacktop. If you've priced blacktop, this is favorable to the city.
Hey, yay on that. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion passes. This is what we've been all waiting for all night long. The fiscal year 2019-2020 goal setting update and review. City Administrator's report, please.
No pressure, Your Honor, I'm sure. The items that you have before you today that are listed within the provided spreadsheet are some of the things that have been accomplished throughout the year. Now, if I were to go through those just reading them, we'd be here for a little bit. Let's not do that. Some of this was presented to you during the work session where the new council goals, which you have presented before you that are sitting up here, were developed for later adoption, keeping in mind that that date was March 10th. If you'll remember, March 16th, City Hall closed due to, we were trying to figure out the COVID response, and that's something that lasted for a number of months. We had a lot of challenges during that time, but at the same time, we also got a great deal done. Not just staff, but also the community as well as we came out of it. And we had to find new ways to do things. So some of this you've seen before. I won't belabor that. But there are a great number of things that you haven't seen. And I even brought some show and tell for the very end. As we look through this, I wanted to draw your attention to a couple of items. As we went into March, we saw a very unsure environment. We didn't know exactly what was going to come, how long it was going to last, how we were going to do business. There were a lot of questions to be asked, and staff, I believe, and council, and our community really rose to those occasions. One of the things I'll show you today is from IT, but our organization never stopped working a day during the pandemic. It didn't mean our doors were always open, but we were always providing services, and we've talked about this a little bit. We continued to do utility billing, for instance. On many occasions, we used the opportunity to be kinder in terms of shut-off. Why? Because it was a very unsure time for everybody, and everybody was having difficulty. We're back to normal operations that way, but I believe that our community really did appreciate some of those items that we did and the services that we continued to provide. Community development continued to provide review of plans, review of for issue building permits and the like, and they did so over the phone, over the internet and the like. They found new ways to do things. Now, not all of those things are the majority of those applications now. Why? We're open again. We've been open for a little while. But it has been, we have kept a lot of those items. You have a lot of different things that are now online that can be submitted. Applications, permits, and the like. You have the ability to pay your bill, and more people have found that option. Our police department never stopped working. They never stopped doing their job every single day. And they did it in a very unsure environment, just like everybody else did. They're to be commended for those things. All of the goals that you set forth through your goal-setting session are all about how we provide service to our community, how we continue to do good things and just do the best we can. As one of the people that was here when the mayor and I first talked that first morning about shutdown, it was an early morning. The more it was unsure, the more that everybody just kept doing what they needed to do in order to provide service. And additionally, one of the things you talk about in your goals are the events. Keeping in mind, Julie's gone, of course. Sorry, but she was big part of Happy Days. We had the fair just finished up. We had the Friday night cruise. The rally this year, when the 40th anniversary, was outstanding, and this all happened in having to deal with restrictions and having to deal with trying to figure out what the right path is. All those things were done by your community and by your staff here. You talked about training hours. We did over 6,200 hours of training for our staff, and we continue to do so. We'll be at one tomorrow. This allows us to continue to provide things. One example I'll give you that we do with training and how it helps us, we trained someone this year to do crane inspections. Why? We have cranes. And we have to keep having that come in. Not only have we trained that individual can now look at the systems we have and say, yes, this is good, or no, it's not, so we don't have to pay for that ongoing. But we also have the ability to better address the needs of our organization. Those are things that we use where we get training and turn that into a money saver. We do that in the police department all the time, train the trainer. And we have a lot of our people that do so. One of the things I really wanted to point out, and I did bring something, let me grab it real quick. If I break this, I'll get yelled at. You'll hear it over the microphone.
Then don't break it.
Yes. All you see is the screen right here, and if you look at the back, of course, you're gonna see a bunch of fun stuff that honestly most of us don't know what it is, not gonna lie. But what this unit does, and we have a number of them, is allows for individuals, if either in the past or, I'm gonna try to leave it up here and watch, I'll break it. Either in the past or as we look at how we're going to deal with anything that remains or arises, we have the ability to allow people to work from home if they're in a difficult situation or they need to quarantine or any of those items. It provides flexibility. This essentially provides a window to the terminal they work on. What does that mean? It means that somebody in utility billing can still execute utility billing duties simply by, we check it out and we send it home. And we have a number of these. We applied for more as part of our funding through the state. This is the type of thing that your staff took time to figure out ways to continue to provide service, and they did. We have a great number of things, and I won't take all your evening, but the last thing I'll draw attention to is the amount of public information that continues to be put out. This council meeting is going to be seen on YouTube. It's being televised right now through Facebook. You have all it. Of course, we record it. It's on our television channel. There's a lot of ways that individuals can interact. Our Facebook stats, for instance, and thanks to Megan because she does a ton of this, and I really always love to embarrass her a little bit, but she does such a good job, I can't help it. We had a 28.4% in Facebook presence overall in a single year. And what that means is that 19% increase in the number of people reached in a given year. That's impressive. And keeping in mind that this is the kind of, and we did this and then some last year as well, to keep that kind of pace. Eventually, to be honest, we're going to run out of people that want to look at our Facebook page. That's true.
I don't know, it's only about half of what Councilwoman Schatz does.
Well, that's a gold standard, and we really want to work. And so if, for instance, our most viewed post had a 47% increase. That means we went from, the most viewed post last year had 8,800 views. We had one with just short of 13,000 this year. We've provided different ways for individuals to look at pre-bid meetings to the point where the state's even mimicked us with YDOT. So we continue to provide that information. We try to make sure that it's out there, that it's good. And I think we've done a good job of that. I think you've done a good job of that. Our staff has done outstanding and continues to provide those services. So to what I would tell you is, to your goals, I believe you're accomplishing your goals and you continue to do so. We use these as ongoing guidelines and we look at every opportunity to try to do the best we can. And I think that's what we're continuing to try to do. Your Honor, I don't, without going through every single one, I would have nothing else to add, but I would say thank you to each and every staff member, our community for continuing to persevere and work with us, and for council for leadership and guidance and working with us to develop these things that we can work with. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Carla, could you start us off tonight?
Well, Your Honor, I don't have a lot to report tonight. Of course, you know the Finance Committee met earlier. We are going to have a Solutions Committee meeting next week. Other than that, I think that's about all I've got. I just want to say thank you to all the hard work from our Community Development Department, all the staff. You guys all do an amazing job, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you, appreciate that. Corey?
Mayor, I just have a couple things. I just missed Mr. Kershiznik. They're having a meeting in Lander Thursday from 8 to 9 at the Summit Restaurant. It's going to be a Q&A all about the half-cent tax. So I'm not sure if they're going to stream it. That's what I wanted to ask him, if you could watch it. If you go to the Forward Fremont County half-cent Facebook page, you can find some information there as well. We are having a neighborhood watch meeting with our pilot neighborhood tomorrow. So we'll see, hopefully we've got a lot of participants that show up and show some interest. I also wanted to do a little plug for the farmers market. Make sure you guys go check that out. I know it's only going to be another month or two before it's done for the year, but it's always a good time. Lastly, the thing I wanted to say is I was reading through the weekly report, and Chief, maybe you could expand on this, but we have a gentleman named Taggart Hammerlink who won Citizen Soldier of the Year award. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, if you could expand on what that is a little bit, please. And
So the National Guard hands out an award every year, and it goes unit by unit, and then when you win it for your unit, then you get into the state pool. And Taggart Hammerlink's one of our new police officers. He just got off deployment with the Wyoming National Guard, and he won the Citizen Soldier of the Year award for the whole state of Wyoming. And that was last month.
Wow.
So now he goes into the national, running for the national Citizen Soldier of the Year.
so I just thought that was pretty incredible. I just wanted to give him a little spotlight. I appreciate you explaining a little bit on that, and please give him our congratulations.
Yes, sir, I will.
Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle?
Your Honor, very little. I spent last weekend up in Du Bois fishing and looking at the different, and the social distancing that has occurred has now gone into camping. So families are buying whatever camping equipment they can to camp, and consequently that has put Du Bois in quite a favorable position. This council we're trying to help bring people here, and as Mike services those clienteles as they fill up on petroleum, et cetera, I can't help but we want to put our best foot forward. And, you know, going to Pit Stop, and they're pleasant, they're clean, they're professional. All of our citizens here in Riverton, I feel, are trying to do that, their very level best. And wow, there's a lot of people coming through here right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Rebecca.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm saying I don't have much, but I just want to say thank you to the Fremont County Fair Board for putting on an amazing fair. If you were able to make it down there, which I hope everybody was, it was almost as good as it's ever been, honestly. There was so much going on. We attended almost every event every night. The kids down there just brought so many memories of my childhood and being down there and having a good time with the pigs and the chickens and stuff like that. So that Sunday morning, we went down to eat at I call it Buggy Bath, but it's Speedway Cafe. I always say that, but Speedway Cafe, I saw some of the fair board members down there grabbing their breakfast to go to head back to the fairgrounds, you know, and it's just, the work that they put into that was just amazing. I just want to say thank you, and that's what we mention every single time we're up here saying how amazing our community is and how wonderful it is to have volunteers and make things happen and build up our economy, because that Fremont County Fair, yes, it is Fremont County, and it's not so much Riverton, but people come into Riverton and they spend their money here and they eat out here, and it's just, I want to say thank you to them, and I can't say it enough how grateful I am that they made that happen this year when there were so many reasons not to. So, and then one other thing, Julie Buller had said the Buffalo Feed, what it is a Buffalo barbecue. They do it every second Saturday in August, the Du Bois Fire Department. So, and that is open to the public. So if you guys want to check that out, I know it's not Riverton, it's Du Bois, but I want to just clarify that it's not a Buffalo Feed. It's a Buffalo barbecue, and it happens every year. So
We like Du Bois, don't we?
we do like Du Bois, sure do.
Thank you.
That's
You
all
know
I
what
have.
time it starts?
Let me check. 4 o'clock. 4 to 7:30.
4 to 7:30? Thank you.
Is it good, Mike?
Normally, yep.
Councilman Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, I'd like to add on to what Rebecca was talking about. You know, just like Eric and Tara and the people with the Rendezvous Committee pulled off the balloon rally when a lot of other ones were getting shut down, the Fremont County Fair Board, again, really did a fantastic job of getting us to be able to have a fair this year. And they had to institute some, you know, separations and some different things. And again, we didn't have the carnival and a couple of events in the evenings like some of the ones we have had in the past. But overall, they had some nice events. They did them on a tighter budget because, again, the county sort of cut back their funding substantially on what they could spend. But I think the fair just turned out to be fantastic. They had, again, good livestock shows. The livestock auction Saturday went really well for the kids, not as much for the buyers.
Well, that's
You're not
what
getting
they said.
bargain meat when you go to the
No.
farm. You get really good meat.
They said they had the kids made out better this year than they have in years and years. That's huge. That's amazing.
Turned out, and a lot of people participated. Again, this amazing community we live in is always extremely supportive of the kids and the youth activities and all of the different events that we put on. And I think they just did a great job, and they just worked their tails off making sure we had a fair this year. And they actually had a lot of comments, said that they liked the fair and the way they presented it this year better than they did in the past. So sometimes bigger is not better, I think. And so it was great to see that. Again, I think most of you know, but I was participating this year in the Leadership Wyoming program. And so I got to spend the weekend up in Pinedale. We had our graduation, sort of a subdued graduation. We'd been meeting over Zoom conference for the last 3 months, which is not near as productive as, you know, it would be in person and that kind of stuff. But it's a great opportunity, and I would highly recommend anybody that would be interested in that, let me know. I'll get them hooked up. They've already got the class of 2021. They're meeting starting next week, or starting tomorrow, in Jackson, and they go all over the state, you know, check out all the different things going on in the state, meet a great, you know, variance of different kind of people, different towns, the different ways they operate, you know, all of the amazing things that makes Wyoming a wonderful community. And again, one big community with long streets is the way it gets told. So again, we have a lot in common with a lot of those towns, and a lot of them have real special aspects that they get to do. And again, you get to meet some great people and learn a lot of neat stuff about our wonderful state. So thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
I think Corey and Carla covered most of what I would talk about. I think this pilot program for Neighborhood Watch is exciting. I hope that that can go well and we can get some people interested to do that in different areas. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, the 8th, so that's Saturday. 10 a.m. is when they have the rededication of the Veterans Park memorial that was vandalized. That's at 10 a.m., so anyone interested, I think, as we've indicated, that park could definitely use more public support, more use of it, everything. Really enjoyed the fair. I had my kids doing all sorts of entries, my wife doing all sorts of entries. Everything that I entered in the fair got a blue ribbon. I had one entry, and that was good. I had a photograph, but, you know, quality is all that matters, I suppose. I was speaking with some of the folks that were planning the fair, and they said they had 50% of their typical entries, which is too bad. Probably the only reason I was able to get a blue ribbon, but that's okay. So hopefully that people continue to participate in that. There were a lot of really cool different things you were able to see while you were there: photography, paintings, quilts. I know this sounds funny, but there was a really, really cool quilt that was kind of this patriotic theme, and the stitching in the quilt was it was a bald eagle. Just like, that's so cool. I would probably buy it. But anyway, so just would encourage people. I mean, you don't have to be professional grade. If nothing else, you could learn that from the fact that I took my photograph from inside of a train through the window in order to be able to put something into fair. Just try it out. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. And it's a lot of fun, and people get to see a lot of things from around the community. So. And we had, of course, the recent march. That was great, well attended. I think a lot of people that were involved in the march were appreciative of the RPD support, the peace march that we had. The other thing, we've got the Rendezvous City Beef Roundup coming up. This is August 29th. I'm pretty excited for this because you get to eat food. August 29th, it's going from 10 to 7. General admission is 10 to 4. A VIP beef tasting competition is 5 to 7. General admission for that is $20. Premium is $50. You can just find that event online, Rendezvous City Beef Roundup. They've got a lot of different vendors who are planning on being there, beef producers, that sort of thing. It sounds like a really unique event, and I think a great way that we can support local beef.
Where's that going to be located?
It is at CWC, I think. I think Lance would know. He's involved with it. And some of what they're going to do, too. So Tyler Lindholm is going to speak there on the new Herd Shares Act, and they're going to be touring the new mobile meat science unit that they have over there at CWC. So sounds like a great event. I'd just encourage people to... I think anytime people complain there's nothing to do in Riverton, maybe listen to a city council meeting, because we just listed off quite a few interesting things going on.
Thank you. Tony?
Thank you, Your Honor. As was pointed out, we do have the rededication August 8th at 10 a.m. at Veterans Park. All are welcome. The Force Committee will meet on Monday at 11 a.m. As a quick update, we have 2 grant applications currently into the SLIB board. One is for the just over $300,000. We did receive information with regard to our grant applications, not directly, but we were told that they posted recommendations on the website. Currently, it was a little different. We had to make a phone call. We're not listed as denied for that application. However, we are listed as to be determined, and so I had to make a phone call to figure out what to be determined was. As best I can understand it in my short conversation, tomorrow there is going to be a meeting that deals with how some of certain items are going to be interpreted and applied to grant funding. So after tomorrow, we will learn what they will do and how they will consider it on Thursday. That's a pretty quick turnaround. So at this point, we know we're not denied for that particular application, or the recommendation, I should say, is not that we're denied, but more so that they're going to have to look at some, they may look at some changes, and we'll see how that actually plays out. We did provide additional information on that one, and we're told that it was then forwarded on. The second item that you applied for was the SLIB application for $5.2 million with regard to Riverton Medical District. That is actually recommended as a non-fund at this point. Now, that there's a lot to that. We don't have any additional, I wasn't provided any additional information on that, nor were we ever asked to provide any supplemental data to it after the application. So we're not sure what. I know we have different parts of our delegations going down and having discussions. We've been told that there may be special sessions, special meetings with regard to other applicable legislation. But at this point, we don't know, which brings me to my final point. We had planned a work session for next week with Riverton Medical District. With the current, having spoken with them today, or one of their representatives today, with the current recommend not to fund and not knowing what's going to happen, it would be our idea to at least tentatively push that to the 25th, which means we would not have a work session next week at this time, but we may have a work session on the last Tuesday of the month. That would provide them an opportunity to put information together and have a little bit more detail with regard to any potential funding. We don't have a lot of detail with regard to that. If council is fine with that, then we will change that.
Is everybody okay with no work session next Tuesday? Super.
We don't have any work.
That's right.
Your Honor, I believe that is everything, and we'll make those adjustments accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. We appreciate that. I hit some of these, but I think they're so important, I want to go back over them. The FAST group posted the emplanements for last month at 466 emplanements out of Riverton, which is fantastic.
What was it the month before?
960-something was January's. Can you help me with that, Kyle?
Yeah, I can pull that up. The month before was 233, so we doubled it exactly from June to July.
Pretty impressive, huh? And especially in this environment that we're in, and COVA has done a lot of damage, even more so than getting the illness. And so it's nice to see things start to pick back up. And I think that's very contingent on the FAST group and the airport employees doing their job and making sure that works. And we're even going to get some glass back in the door up there, aren't we, Kristen?
Yes, sir. It's already been installed.
Perfect. Thank you. The rededication is going to take place at 10 o'clock on Saturday out back of the City Hall. We are going to have the governor's going to be there. Senator Bebout's going to be there. And you know, this is a place where we really ought to turn out, and we already have. The city of Riverton, as soon as we heard that the monument was defaced, money came pouring in from the community, and Councilman Bailey made that point of how nice it is to live in a community that cares so much about those things. And so they're able to replace that and do some other things. The security that we've put in back there is phenomenal, and it's going to make it very nice for us to use in the future. I appreciate the half-cent people that were here, and I think with the cancellation of my meeting in Cheyenne, I'll be able to come to that meeting in Lander, so I'll be to that half-cent meeting. I would really like to thank Pat Moore for her willingness to buck the system and to put the fair forward in as great a capacity as she did. And there were lots of people that wanted that shut down, and that goes right back to where we were with the balloon rally, and Eric hung in there and pulled that off. And as a result, while I'm up in the balloon taking the ride, the pilot said, you know, you're one of the very few places in the United States that's brave enough to have a rally. And so he really was appreciative. There'd been a lot of rallies canceled for him, and he was appreciative of that. We have some wonderful projects going on right now around the city. The Riverton Water Supply Pressure Zone 4 operation is worked its way all the way to the Raintree subdivision, and doing a real good job with that. And I appreciate the effort that's being done there. Gannett is working on getting their sewer lines in and their manholes, and then they'll go to water lines. East Sunset is working their concrete and replacing concrete, and I think that's another example of how that works in development. Hill Street is soon to start. Do you have a start date yet?
Your Honor, we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next Tuesday. We are working with the gas company this week. It looks like there could be a conflict with the gas main and our proposed sewer main. We'll work through that before we get to the pre-con next week.
Perfect. I was privileged to sit in on a Zoom meeting with all the mayors in the county early in the morning to talk about some problems. And we do have a few of those, and we work those things out, and we're trying really hard to make Fremont County a better place. I had a really fun activity. I got a phone call last week from the mayor of Riverton, Utah, and he was coming through town. And I have a daughter that lives in Riverton, Utah, and I thought many times it would be fun to go in there and say, I'm the mayor of Riverton, and see how far I could get into the building. Probably not very far, but or the police escorted me out. But he was a really nice guy, and he's running for, Kyle, you would know better how this works, but there's a top mayor in the valley, and he's running for that position, and they control he's the top mayor of all of them. So
Mr. Butterfield would know best.
Can you explain that system to us? It's all the mayors.
Your Honor, it's been too long since I've been in Utah. I think my mind has been washed. That's the first I've heard of it.
Well, that's a good thing.
The largest city out there, other than South Salt Lake, is Sandy. And all of those mayors meet, just like you guys do, Lander and Riverton, and they are helping each other, trying to move ahead with this blasted COVID. And it's a good position to hold.
And he seemed like an awfully nice guy, and he was kind enough to take a picture with me, and he posted it. I'm not that good at posting, but Tony stepped in and posted for us, so we appreciated that. I did have a call last Saturday early in the morning from Rowena Bland, and she was really disappointed in the condition that the parking lot out front of the city hall was left. And she went back to get her camera and come back and take some pictures. And as our staff would have it done, Mia was already there picking it up. And I just wanted to mention that. And she was there in front of the farmer's market and noticed the same disappointment. And she, instead of just saying that's the way it is, she got it picked up, and I appreciate that. So thank you. I did have a meeting with Joanne Flanagan, who is the new superintendent of schools. She called me and asked if we could do that, and she's looking forward to some collaboration with our police department, and I talked to the chief about that, and I think that's a really good place. Nationwide, our police are taking some really difficult hits, and just unfairly is the only way to say that. And our police work extremely well with the crime element. And Chief, I noticed about 2 weeks ago that our crime element had greatly reduced. I count it as I go around, and I had a conversation with the chief, and he said, yeah, I asked that to happen. And I know he has that kind of connection, and so I appreciate that effort. Thank you very much. We also had Fremont County Emergency Meeting Management Group, which we haven't had in a long, long time, to talk about COVID. And that was an interesting meeting. Once again, it was a Zoom meeting. And I really don't like Zoom meetings. So, but those things are moving forward, and I think we're trying our very best to handle that countywide. With that, the very last thing on my thought process is I'd like to thank the parks crew. We had a little bit of vandalism. Those people that noticed it early, Sunday morning, reported it, and Kyle's guys got after it, and by noon on Monday, it was removed. And thank goodness that we have the ability to do that, and we appreciate it. And the defacing of property in Riverton, I hope won't be allowed to happen, and we'll move forward and do our very best to stop the vandalism in our own parking lot, along with the vandalism that occurs in Riverton. And I know that we have support of the people, and we'll try to do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen any longer. With that said, that's all I have. I appreciate all the work that's done. If there's no objections, we'll stand adjourned at 8:52.